Okay, welcome back everybody. This week we're going to be talking about textures. So we're going to practice drawing some textures, and then we're going to have a fun little activity where we draw things with the wrong textures and see what happens to those objects, how that makes us feel. So a texture is how something feels when you touch it. Like my shirt is very soft. My hair is soft. It could be coarse on a bad day. A porcupine is prickly. A cloud is fluffy, like a cotton ball. So we're going to practice drawing some textures today. We got about 5 textures we're going to practice, and then we'll start our activity. Okay, all we need today is a piece of paper and a pencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my paper into 5 sections, and we will draw 5 different textures. All right, we got our 5 different sections here. We're going to do 5 different textures. Now, this is an introduction, this is practice, so don't get discouraged if it's not perfect or doesn't look exactly like mine. This is an introduction. Our first texture we're going to do is wood texture. So it's going to be kind of grainy, and it's pretty easy to do. We start with a wavy oval, and we just keep making larger and larger wavy ovals, and that's going to start to look like wood grain. And we can even kind of section this off here, make it look like wood planks. Add a couple more in there. We can keep going if we want, as if we had more planks there. More planks. And that's a pretty good intro to wood. If you wanted, you could go in and add little dashes with your pencil, kind of give it that freshly cut look. And that'll add a little bit more of that woody, grainy texture. That's an advanced add-on, but it does help getting that wood grain. Our next texture is prickly, like a cactus. I'm going to do that by drawing a couple of diagonal lines. And then on those diagonal lines, we're going to make the letter V. Put it right on the line. It can go any direction that you want. And that's going to look nice and prickly for us. See? We all make mistakes. So that would look like a cactus where, oof, sharp to the touch. Our third is perhaps our easiest, a glass or smooth texture. And if I'm moving too fast, just pause, take a break, come back. But this one's super easy. A couple of diagonal dashes, and boom, a smooth glass surface. Our next one is a furry texture. And this one is kind of fun to do. To really show it, I'm gonna draw a little shape, little oval here in the middle. And we're gonna make this oval furry. Now what you do with the furry texture is you wanna start at the bottom, and we're gonna make little dashes with our pencil. And we don't have to stay inside the lines, we can go outside the lines, break the barrier. We're gonna make a little row like that. Then we're going to continue making rows that overlap each other. Overlap means that the next row goes over the one below it. Example of that would be like, my hand is now overlapping my paper. So we want to keep adding these rows of little strokes of the pencil all the way up our oval. All right, so when we're done, we have this layered effect of hairs. Looks nice and furry. Almost want to put ears on it and take it for a walk. All right, so that one's easy, just a little bit more time consuming, layering those little dashes of fur. Our last one we're gonna do, again, this was hairy, furry. And you can do different lengths of hair or fur for that. If you were drawing a person's head, you would want longer strokes. But for the last one we're gonna do a rough texture. And to create a rough texture, we are going to draw bricks. So I'm gonna start by making some horizontal lines. That's left to right on my paper. All right, so something like that. They don't have to be perfect. I didn't use a ruler, as you can see. Now I like to do bricks when I'm talking about rough because it's a surface that we're all very familiar with, and it also has a very sturdy presence. But before we add our texture, I have some vertical lines up and down that I need to make. But when doing these vertical lines, I don't want to go all the way through. I want to stagger my lines so that the line is broken up as it goes down, and that'll help make it look like a brick wall. So as you can see with those staggered lines, it looks more like a nice sturdy wall. But it doesn't look rough yet. It looks pretty smooth, almost like our glass. So to rough it up, we're gonna put just little dashes, little light dashes with your pencil of vertical and horizontal lines. And I like to keep these in the corners and along the base. That seems to give it a little bit more depth. And you can go in and add a couple here and there for details. The more lines you add, the rougher your bricks are gonna be. All right, so now we're getting that rough kind of feature, crossing over some of our lines. That's a technique that you'll learn as you get older. This definitely isn't something I'd want a pillow or a blanket made out of, that's for sure. All right, so we ended up with 5 great textures. Now we're gonna do a little assignment with these textures where we draw a picture using these textures. But what we're gonna do is draw a picture that has the wrong textures. And we're gonna see what it's like when we draw something that has the wrong textures. So I'm gonna flip my page over and we're gonna get started. Okay, so for this assignment, you can draw anything you want that has the wrong texture. I'm gonna stay with things that we see in everyday life. So I'm gonna do an apple to start us off. Apples are pretty simple to draw. It's like putting together 2 ovals. But remember I said we are going to draw things with the wrong textures. A texture of the apple is usually very smooth. It has a waxy skin to it. So we would usually put like a little light reflection here and call it a day. But let's see what would happen if we turned our apple into a cactus prickly texture. Remember, we use our little V's for our cactus texture. I don't think people would eat apples as much if it was covered in prickly cactus. Oh, look at how that changes exactly what we've ever thought an apple could be. Very interesting. I'm gonna keep it in the fruit world for our next one. And I know I said we were gonna do 5 different textures, but I think as an introduction to this assignment, 3 is good for this assignment. So 3 different textures. I'm gonna go with a pear this time. Nice pear. A pear is usually not as shiny as an apple. It has a little bit more of a porous-y texture, almost like this paper does. But we are going to instead make our pear wood. So I'm gonna do like we did on the back and kind of plank these out into some wood planks. And we will get to drawing those wiggly ovals that create an effect of wood. Pears are one of my favorite fruits, but I don't think I would eat them if they were made of wood paneling. You can put your ovals wherever you want as a starting point. And then we talked about if you want, you can add those little extra details, those little dashes of details, as if your wood's been freshly cut. And there's our wooden pear. So the point of this is really to see textures have a big role to play when it comes to art and how things look. All right, nothing I love more with my pears and apples than some cheese. So I'm gonna draw a wheel of cheese here. Again, you guys don't have to draw these exact things. You can follow along with me, or you can create your own drawings. That's perfectly fine. I'm gonna draw a little wheel of cheese. Let's see, I haven't drawn one of these in a while. Okay, not bad, not bad. So we'll make this some Swiss cheese. All right, that looks like some good cheese. Cheese usually has a waxy coating to it. I think I'm gonna make my cheese hairy. So I'm gonna add those dashes of hair that we practiced. And again, so as I'm doing this, we'll talk to you guys about this assignment. You guys just need to draw 3 things that have the wrong texture. So use those textures that we practiced. If you want to make the same 3 things I am, that is awesome. I like that. It's no problem at all. But if you want to make your own creations, I love that too. Art's all about being creative and experimenting. And again, I've been doing this for a while. So if you don't feel like you like it or you think it's not good enough, just know that that's what art is, experimenting and trying new things. So just give it your best shot, upload your picture to me, and I'll leave a little comment for you on it. Very excited to see what you guys come up with. All right, so one final look at what we did today. The first thing we did on the front of this page was practice our textures. We did a wood texture, just grainy. We did a prickly texture. Remember, don't touch that, it's sharp. Nice smooth glass texture, a furry texture, and then a rough brick wall. And we used some of those to draw pictures of things with the wrong textures. And again, you had the choice of what to draw, but if you followed along with me, we made a prickly apple, a wood grain pear, and a hairy wheel of cheese. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Post it on Canvas by Thursday of next week, and I will see you Monday on the Zoom.